6 basic guidelines for setting solid appointments. Now, everyone needs a guideline and a structure to be able to make sure that appointments are solid. And number one is we need to ensure that a specific time period has been agreed upon and recorded in written form. So that means, that's why when you hear, do you have a pen handy? I have an important information to give you. Oh, I don't have them. Well, I'll wait. That is solid because you're going to make sure that they write it down. How many times have you been on the phone and someone says, okay, can you come in at 5? Yeah, okay. And people just forget about it. We want to make sure that we set solid appointments. Number 2, investigate all potential influencing buyers. Who else will be involved in driving the vehicle during ownership? That's why when we do household prospecting, how many drivers, how many vehicles, of all the drivers, who's most likely to be in the market next? Well, my son. Well, that's what you're doing. You're investigating. Now I have something else I want to add to that. When you are investigating and a person says, well, my son, and this is a mental note, and this is something that I want everybody to write down. When you're household prospecting and you're asking those questions and you get a name, first thing that I want to come out of your mouth is, well, what makes you think of whoever? If it's a son, write that down because that's important. You're gonna hear that, so you're gonna want to know that. What makes you think of your brother or your son? Because he's going to be the next person in line. Great. Well, what makes you think of your wife? Because she's driving an older vehicle. And then what are you doing? You're fact-finding in that situation. So investigate who else is going to be involved in that. So every time you have a household prospecting situation, that's the first thing that should come out of your mouth after you. Who's most likely to be in the market next? My wife. Well, what makes you think of your wife? My son. What makes you think of your son? My daughter. What makes you think of your daughter? Because that's going to give you some fact-finding information. Number 3, obtain other potential influencing buyers on the phone. Sometimes you'll get people who will say, well, I need to talk to my wife, I'll need to talk to my son. The one thing you need to do is, okay, I understand that, but what about now? What do you think time would work for you? So you try to set the appointment, and if they say, well, I could come in at 5, but I need to talk to my wife, you're going to then go to power phrase number 6. Power phrase number 6 says, okay, well, let me do this to help you both. I can call your wife. By the way, what's your wife's name? Get the name. I can call your wife, answer any questions or concerns, and let her know about our appointment. If it doesn't work out, I can call you back. Now, that wouldn't be too bad, would it? If they say no, okay, so is it best to reach your wife on her work or cell? She'll give you the work number. What's that number? And then for backup, what's her cell number? And then once you get that information, then you're going to go to the VIP manager and set the appointment or tell them about the VIP manager. So make sure you get that person on the phone. That's another thing about solid appointments. Number 4, reconfirm all appointments that are not immediate. We talked about that earlier. If you set an appointment 2 hours later, you're not going to confirm. 4 or 5 hours down the road, you're going to confirm. You can find that script on page 18. That's the appointment confirmation script. Number 5, send out emails, texts, and verbal confirmation when confirming appointments. That's going to also help to set solid appointments. Texting is very popular nowadays, so of course you got to get permission to do that, and some systems have it, some don't, but if they do, make sure we do that. And then utilize a third party to ensure a strong show ratio. This is the independent buyer process or technique. You can find that on page 4, that's on the hot sheet, and there's also a very strong video that the president of the company, Joni, discusses this, and we're going to take a look at it right now.
I'm Joni Stuker. I'm glad you're here listening to me for a moment. I want to explain to you the importance of the independent buyer process and what this means. Always think about a consumer's viewpoint. It's not about what we think in the car dealership world, it's about the consumer. And if a consumer is out searching and looking for a car, one of the biggest advices they've been given is to never bring up trade. Consumers are automatically a little defensive, a little concerned about trade-in value. So we know that we're never going to succeed comfortably if we don't take all of those fears and bring them down. So that's where the independent buyer process comes in. It also separates your dealership from the other stores that they've been shopping. You can go online today and you can get Kelley Blue Book. You can get your trade value. A lot of times that holds a customer back from wanting to visit because they go online and they didn't really like that trade-in value. Or the other point, maybe the customer visited our showroom and we gave them a trade-in value and they weren't happy with it. When this occurs, then it's time for us to take it to the next level, which means a dealership, your store, is going to shop that trade. Let's say you're working in a Honda store and my trade is a Toyota Camry. Then the first thing that sales management team at your store is going to do is they're going to call that Toyota store, because that Toyota store may want to put more money or give more money for a Toyota to be at their store, their dealership lot, rather than your lot. So we use third-party appraisals. For you as a BDC rep, you're going to use the independent buyer process almost every single time you speak to someone. Why? Because it gives them hope and promise that they might be able to get more money for that trade. It allows you a more powerful level of competitiveness against the other dealerships. It sets you apart because you're going the extra step. It'll also give you over a 65% show ratio on appointments. It also takes a person that maybe really wasn't interested in buying. You know that customer, maybe it's a referral that you got. You call them, you're like, hey, your friend said you may be thinking about buying a vehicle. And they go, I'm not really interested. How do you get an interest? If you go for that appraisal, if it's information non-threatening, and remember, it's something to their advantage. It works. So independent buyer process, it's something that is proven. You need to memorize it, and you need to know it and use it every day in, day out. All right, I'm Joni Stuker.